TaxAct knows filing taxes can be confusing, so we have live experts on hand who can help answer any questions you may have. Questions like, can I claim my SUV as my home office if I answer work emails in my car? If I adopted 12 dogs this year, can I list them as dependents? And, am I doing this right, or am I doing this very, very wrong? Our experts have the answers to those questions and many others. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
I think I just won my taxes.
Yeah?
I just switched to H&R Block in about 1 minute. All I had to do was drag and drop last year's return into H&R Block, and bam, my information is automatically there.
So I don't have to go digging around for all my old papers to switch?
Nope.
Sounds like we just leveled up our tax game.
Switching to H&R Block is easy. Just drag and drop your last return. It's better with Block.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of There Can Only Be One, the podcast that puts together the all-star best of playlist of your favorite bands and artists, and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners in Oslo, Norway, and around the world. How you guys doing? I don't know if there's a better way to kick off what I would consider to be round two, so our second group of 50 episodes, than with covering the biggest artist in the world, the one and only Taylor Swift. And here to join me, the best co-host in the whole world, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
Aw, you're sweet.
I try. I do try.
Insert finger, hand, heart.
Well, you gave me a bracelet, so I had to say something nice.
Yes.
Right? Sadly, there are not enough beats to put There Can Only Be One on one bracelet. So
no, but
you tried.
Are my BFF,
right? You tried. Okay, so in fairness, this brilliant idea to cover the entire Taylor Swift discography was not mine, but it was Carrie. So Carrie, I ask you because this is going to be very interesting because neither of us actually really listened to Taylor Swift. This is the first time personally I've ever listened to an entire Taylor Swift album in its entirety. And I know you're kind of on the same, frequency, if you will, as far as listening to Taylor Swift. So why pitch Taylor Swift?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, Taylor Swift is without a doubt the biggest recording artist ever right now.
Right now, yes, absolutely.
She is everything. And I was really intrigued. Like, she visited our hometown and had a 4-day
No, it was
stint?
6 concerts in Toronto.
Yeah.
6 concerts over 2 weeks.
And I mean, not only that, but the hype leading up to it and the ticket lottery and anyone is listening to Taylor Swift and is at these concerts. And I, much like you, were just like, I want to understand. I want to know what the hype is. What is it that we're missing in our lives? And so I was intrigued and I really wanted to start this venture and, go down that rabbit hole of, okay, the Taylor version albums, I did not know at the time that I pitched this were 2+ hours of music.
Yeah, you gave us a little bit of music to listen to with this one.
Oh my goodness. When I pitched this idea, I knew it was big, but I had no idea of the grandiose venture we were about to take. And I mean, it's so cool. Don't get me wrong. I have listened to Taylor Swift and, there's maybe a handful of songs that I recognize, but that was it. as far as the Taylor Swift discography and the world of Taylor Swift that is out there. I'm just mind blown, and I am so in awe of her. She is a force. Like, I think she's brilliant, and I think she's incredibly talented. And again, I just wanted to know more, and here we are. So that was a really long-winded answer. I think I'm getting into, writing poetry. If only I could do so as well as Miss Swift.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You have to understand where our musical interests normally lie. And really, that can be traced back to the very first episode of There Can Only Be One, because, of course, we were going to start that with Anthrax. So here we are, two people who listen to bands like Anthrax are now about to dive into the Taylor Swift discography. So this is going to be a very interesting conversation. And just understand, right? But before anyone gets like all up in arms and they start to raise the internet, we always come in these episodes with open minds and open ears and ready to listen to pretty much anything. So when I say we don't actually listen to Taylor Swift, it's not like we actively avoid listening to Taylor Swift. If it's on the radio, okay, fine, all good. This is now coming from brand new ears, first time perspectives in a lot of these cases.
I love how this episode requires a disclaimer.
Well, most of our episodes, and really us in general, usually require a disclaimer. So just bear with us here. But no, this is going to be very, very interesting. Like, I know there's Taylor Swift based podcasts out there, and they're made by fans, and that is great. That is awesome. I love that she's basically not only created a community around her music. I love the idea that she's basically created an entire economy based around her music, because really she has. But now you're going to listen to two people who don't listen to Taylor Swift, experience Taylor Swift for the first time, and go through her discography. 12 studio albums and EPs. Now, in fairness, and we're not going to get into like the big battle over her music rights and whatnot, and her legal problems with Scooter Braun, whatever. We don't care about that. We're here about the music. But with that said, when it comes to the albums Fearless, Speak Now, Red, and 1989, we're covering Taylor's version because here on There Can Only Be One, we always respect the artist. We're not doing any box sets, live albums, or soundtrack songs. We're also skipping the Beautiful Eyes EP because there were only 6 songs on that, and only 3 of them were new songs. So, it's a very small sample size. So just know we're not skipping it because we didn't know it exists. We're skipping it because there were only 3 songs really to pick from it. So that's what we're doing. 12 albums and EPs. And we start right at the start with her self-titled debut album, released October 24th, 2006. Peaked at number 1 on the US and UK country album charts. There were 5 singles off of this one. Teardrops on My Guitar charted the highest, hitting number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album is 7 times platinum in the US, double platinum in Australia, and platinum in Canada and New Zealand. So our first taste of Taylor Swift, going all the way back to 2006. Carrie, kick us off. What's your pick off this disc?
I guess unknowingly, I'm going with the popular release from this album, and I did choose Teardrops on My Guitar, but there were 2 versions on the album that I was listening to. So there was a pop version, and then I guess there was the radio release, which I can only imagine probably came first. And then the pop version almost sounds like it was
off the 2008 Enhanced Edition bonus track. So.
Right. And now that you had mentioned that there were re-releases and, the Taylor's versions, I'm only concerned that in some cases, some of the songs that I might have chosen maybe were added after the fact. And I wonder, because in most cases, like Midnight, right? There were like 3 different midnights, but one was 3 a.m. and one was 11. It was very, there is so many choices.
Mm-hmm.
and so many versions out there that really to have that many, that vast discography is incredible. I mean, full respect for her, because clearly she just keeps creating and coming up with newer, I don't know, ways to promote a song or to present a song. Like in several cases, walk with me on this, there were several versions of the one song. Did you notice that?
In some cases, yes. And that's the thing too. I mean, you do see this. And I mean, if you go back to like the Def Leppard episode, when you get to the retroactive album, there were multiple versions, or at least different versions of some previously released songs. And that does happen. And the other thing too is that Taylor Swift is always kind of creating. So I'm not surprised that there are different versions. She wouldn't be the first artist to do it. She won't be the last artist to do it. And there are going to be occasions when songs that we pick aren't on the original release, but are on bonus or deluxe editions. They're bonus tracks.
Exactly. So just hoping I don't break any rules with that. But in between the two versions of Teardrops on My Guitar, I did enjoy the pop version. And I think it just to me felt like the quintessential pop ballad. Like it was like clearly she took a hit that was a radio play song and then almost gave it like a new life.
Yeah.
Or like a new breath, and just made it that much more pop, catchy, like that kind of song that you hear. And I had never actually heard this song, even though it was one of the released tracks. I wasn't familiar with it. So when I heard it, I guess I just instinctually was drawn to it. So it was definitely meant to be the hit. It was meant to be the release off the album.
Yeah, I mean, you do see, some artists do that where they'll have the album version, then they'll have the radio edit or the radio single version of it. And it's a bit more production value and whatnot, a bit more radio friendly as far as the mastering goes. Because sometimes, and you have to think with Taylor Swift, a lot of these songs are just written by her on guitar in her tour bus or whatever the case may be. And then what the song originally was and what it then can be. I mean, a lot of songs are rediscovered in the studio and given that kind of new life. So that makes total sense. Makes total sense. And I'm glad you say that it's okay to break a few rules here and go with something that was off a deluxe version of the album, because my pick off of this is off the deluxe edition, and it's I'm Only Me When I'm With You. When you think about one of the other big crossover country pop artists that's out there, Shania Twain. And really, you can draw some parallels from Shania Twain's career to Taylor Swift's career as far as country to mass pop radio appeal. This song feels like it would have been in like almost like a perfect fit for like a Shania Twain. It's like that perfect pop country kind of blend. And you can almost picture the crowd bopping along to this one. It's actually, I think, one of the better, poppier ones on this. I did have The Outside and Picture to Burn on my short list. But for me, this was kind of what I was hoping to hear, is that perfect middle ground of country and pop that you would expect out of Taylor Swift. And I recognize that her sound has evolved over the years over the eras. This is kind of what I was hoping to hear and was pleasantly surprised to hear it on such an early album, even though it's on the deluxe edition.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. If you're looking for flexible workouts, Peloton's got you covered. Summer runs or playoff season meditations. Whatever your vibe, Peloton has thousands of classes built to push you and has something there to adapt with you, whether you need a challenge or rest. Peloton has everything you need whenever you need it. Find your push. Find your power. Peloton. Visit onepeloton.com.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed Sponsored Jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time to rewrite the vacation rules. With Royal Caribbean, your family can look forward to just about anything. Break the thrill barrier, roaring down the tallest water slide in North America. Jump into breathtaking jungles and jaw-dropping coves. Vibe off the charts on our private island Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And end the day knowing things are just getting started. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
We now move on to the Taylor Swift Holiday Collection, released October 14th, 2007. This is a mix of original and reworked traditional Christmas songs. Hit number 1 on the Billboard Holiday Album Charts and number 20 on the Billboard 200 and is platinum in the US. And I was today years old when I learned that there was a Billboard Holiday Album Chart. Didn't know.
But isn't it all Mariah Carey's Christmas song?
You would think, right? It's Mariah Carey and Wham! Last Christmas.
Yeah.
But here we go. Taylor Swift also hitting the holiday collection, the holiday charts.
Can I just say first that I love that she wrote original Christmas music.
Yeah, like this is one of those things where I know there are bands and artists that put out Christmas albums and they're all just like, all right, let's get the standards and re-record them. And she did that with some of these. Yes, she covered Last Christmas. By the way, I want to point this out. Dear listeners, if in December you are playing Whamageddon and you are trying to avoid Wham's version of Last Christmas for fear of entering Whamhalla, don't worry. The rules, at least as far as I know, state that the Taylor Swift version is okay to listen to. You will not enter Whamhalla by listening to her cover of Last Christmas. But even there, right? Like writing new original Christmas songs and taking songs that, you know, weren't hers and giving them new life and a brand spanking new feel in some cases. Like this felt like a fresh Christmas album. And because it's only 6 songs, it's a nice short sample size when it comes to Christmas, because also, let's be honest, Christmas music around December, you kind of wait for it. And then by the time December is done, you're kind of done with it.
Okay, December is fine, but when you start to hear it in the malls, like in November, too soon.
Right?
Too soon.
I mean, I understand. Those are just some of the Christmas artists that are taking the advantage of the time it takes to unthaw Mariah Carey from her 11-month slumber. But off of the Taylor Swift Holiday Collection, what did you go with?
Without a doubt, I went with Silent Night. This song, this version is so pretty. Like her vocals just, wow. They are, it is such a pretty version of the song. I actually put it in my holiday playlist on my Spotify. I was like, I love it.
This is the first time that we actually line up. And I know we're only 2 albums in. This is one of those things whenever we do these episodes, I always wonder how many albums we're going to line up on. I thought that this might be one of those ones that we do line up on. There's another album I'm pretty sure we're going to line up on, but we'll see when we get to it. No, her version of Silent Night on this is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be saying this a lot, I think, with her music, is that this has a very cinematic feel. And I say that because going through her discography, there were lots of times when I could listen to her songs and very easily picture it, you know, the lyrics and the music itself being the basis of a film. And I'm surprised no one has taken, you know, a bunch of Taylor Swift songs and turned them into basically the basis of a movie.
Or a stage play. Like Jagged Little Pill.
Well, see, there's the thing.
Oh my
right?
God. Somebody get Miss Swift on the phone. Let's do this.
Right. Diablo Cody, who wrote Jagged Little Pill, the stage play, needs to call up Taylor Swift and get to work. And clearly it has to star Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. That's the only way this works out well. Hugh Jackman is allowed to come and play. That's totally fine. But no, her version of Silent Night on this is utterly fantastic and breathtaking.
Yeah.
Hands Hands up, that was a fantastic version. I did have her original song, Christmas Is When You Were Mine, on my short list, because that was actually a really sweet song too.
I liked it, but you know what? I just couldn't. I kept drawing back to Silent Night, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like that's how it should always ever be.
Yeah. I am, I don't always go with the covers, but when a cover is this good and it stands out from the original. Like, that's the thing. We were just talking about, like, artists that just kind of take the original and paint by numbers. This is not a paint by numbers original. This feels like a new song that just happens to have very, very, very familiar lyrics. I should also point out that at the 2008 Grammys, Taylor Swift was nominated for Best New Artist, but she lost to Amy Winehouse. So I think that's a fair one.
That's respectable.
Right. But I do also want to point out, you know who else was nominated in that same category in that same year? Was an artist that also was covered on this show, Paramore. So you had Paramore, Taylor Swift, and Amy Winehouse all nominated for Best New Artist of the Year at the 2008 Grammys. That's a stacked list right there.
It was a good year for music then.
Right? Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Moving on to Fearless, Taylor's version. Originally released November 11th, 2008, Taylor's version was released April 9th, 2021. Originally, the album hit number 1 in the US, the UK, New Zealand, Canada, and Australia. Taylor's version also hit number 1 in the US, UK, Argentina, Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and Scotland. This album is diamond in the US, 9 times platinum in the Philippines, 8 times platinum in Australia, 6 times in New Zealand, 4 times in Canada, 2 times in Ireland, Singapore, and the UK, and platinum in Denmark. Also, Taylor's version is double platinum in New Zealand and platinum in Australia. There were 5 singles off of this one. You Belong With Me charted the highest in the US, hitting number 2, but Love Story hit number 1 in Australia. At the 2010 Grammys, this album won for Album of the Year. It won Best Country Album of the Year. White Horse won Best Female Country Vocal Performance and Best Country Song. You Belong With Me was nominated for Record of the Year, lost to You Somebody by Kings of Leon. It was also nominated for Song of the Year, lost to Single Ladies Put a Ring on It by Beyonce, and was nominated for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, lost to Halo by Beyonce. And Breathe with Colby Calett was nominated for Best Pop Collab with Vocals, but lost to Lucky by Jason Mraz, also featuring Colby Calett. So, dear listeners, we're going to be here a while with some of these albums, because to say that Taylor Swift has won a ton is putting it mildly. And by the way, we are only mentioning the Grammys here, because if I tried to mention every single award that Taylor Swift won, this would be the longest podcast in podcast history. So just know that Taylor Swift rules the world and we're just living in it. But now we're at the first Taylor's version album, Fearless. What's your pick?
I went with the title track. I went with Fearless. It was always a cool down song that I would teach in my fitness classes. And it's super catchy, and I find myself singing it for like an hour after. It's just, you know what? It's just that kind of perfect blend of like, it's light and it's fun and it's a catchy song. Fearless. That's the one.
Wait, are you saying that Taylor Swift wrote a catchy song? I wouldn't have guessed. You know, like billions of Taylor Swift fans can't be wrong, right? I will say that I didn't choose Fearless for even my short list. My short list consisted of Love Story, Change, and Today Was a Fairy Tale. But I ended up going with Breathe featuring Colby Calett. The two of them together vocally sound fantastic together. But I think the key thing here is that this song I find really easy to settle into. Along the way, listening to this, like if your knowledge of Taylor Swift kind of comes down to, Shake It Off and some of her more radio-friendly boppy tunes, you're missing some of the songs that are very easily, could be described best as Campfire with a Hot Chocolate. I think that's probably the best way to describe some of these songs. Campfire with a Hot Chocolate. And I think that's some of the appeal to Taylor Swift, because yes, there are these massive radio hits, but yes, there are also some of these songs that just kind of put the headphones on, snuggle up under a blanket, and just kind of close your eyes and listen. So like this is the interesting discovery part to this.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I came at this in a different perspective. Because as I mentioned, I teach fitness classes, and I have the Shake It Off, and I have other songs. Fearless is one that I use for a cool down. There's other songs that I'll mention later on. But I took on this challenge because I was looking for more fresh content to throw into classes. I wanted that dancey hip hop kind of sound, like Shake It Off, that kind of like really recognizable. But what I found is I got something completely different. And you're absolutely right that a lot of her songs are just so poetic and so beautiful. And in some cases, I was like, oh, damn, she's got a potty mouth. Like, I was shocked. I was literally like shocked, because I always looked at Taylor Swift like a wholesome, family-friendly artist. And then there's some of the tracks I came across and I was like, whoo, did she just say that? Oh, she did. And, it almost becomes shocking. And it's like, okay, but I could see and understanding now that she is an incredibly talented poet. She's a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And to translate her poetry into music and to make it just so open for all audiences to listen to, right? That's a real talent. That taking words on a page and making it into her, beautifully big stage performance during the Eras tour. That is an incredible talent.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing too is that, let's kind of call this out. There's a mystique to Taylor Swift because, her life is very fairy tale, right? And there are a lot of these songs that relate to past relationships and whatnot. And I know that there are people who are treating her songs like some cryptologist trying to figure out, well, who's she talking about with this kind of thing. So there is this vast mystique on this. I know personally, as I was listening to these songs, and I don't know if this is something that you do when you listen to songs, that I know you and I approach them very, very differently. I'm listening for the hook. I'm listening for the music production. I'm listening for the chord progressions and all of that kind of stuff. Does that hit with you, or are you looking for the lyrics and the feel?
I admit that I start with something that catches my interest, right? Because I'm not going to lie, there were several albums, especially the longer ones, the Taylor's versions, like anything over 2 hours of music. You know me with the Dream Theater song. I tend to...
I love you, Brown, Dream Theater.
I admit that I tend to just phase out. Like I just kind of... I have a very short attention span, and I want something that's catchy. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't catch my attention right away, then I kind of skip past it. And I found there was a little bit of skipping. I'm not going to lie, and this is absolutely no disrespect to any of Taylor Swift songs. But in some cases, I found either they followed almost the same formulaic sound.
There is a very Taylor Swift chord progression in some of these.
Right. Okay.
But you can say the same thing about any blues artists.
And I do, quite obviously. Dream Theater, perfect example. I do enjoy the band, but there are some 20-minute songs that I'm just like, are we still here? Didn't we? How many songs were in this one 20-minute song under the same title?
well, clearly you missed the part when we went from 4/4 to 7/8 to 17 times.
See, but you are a musician. You are a music geek. And so, of course, you're going to hear things differently than I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, with that said, my long-winded answer, I tend to, if something catches my attention, at that point, I flip over to the lyrics.
Yeah.
And a little bit more on that later on. Okay, because there's a few times where that just gets me into trouble. But listening to the lyrics and really getting a feel for what the song, the message, the meaning behind the song, right? Because at that point, it becomes more than just something that's catchy and a tune that you kind of maybe don't know the lyrics, but you just kind of sing anyway.
Yeah.
How many songs like that, right? And you wind up getting the words totally wrong, but that's okay because it's catchy.
Just do what I do. Start meowing when you don't know the lyrics.
Yeah.
Which is really weird when you do that live at a show and people are like, did he just meow?
Yeah.
I think he just meowed. Not that that's ever happened. It's totally happened.
Totally.
Moving on to Speak Now, Taylor's version. Originally released October 25th, 2010, Taylor's version was released July 7th, 2023. Hit number 1 in the US, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. Taylor's version hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, the Netherlands, Ireland, New Zealand, Scotland, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and the US.
Okay, you could have saved yourself a lot of time by just saying the world.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get there.
Taylor takes over the world.
It is 6 times platinum in the US, 3 times in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and platinum in the Philippines, Singapore, and the UK. Taylor's version is platinum in Australia and New Zealand. There were 6 singles off of this one. Mine charted the highest, hitting number 3 in the US. And at the 2012 Grammys, it was nominated for Best Country Album, lost to Own the Night by Lady Antebellum, now known as Lady A. Mean won Best Country Solo Performance and Best Country Song. So off of this one, what did you go with?
You know what? Respectfully, I'm going to circle over to you, and only because I want to see if we've matched up.
Okay. So I want to put this out there first, okay, before I drop my pick, because I find this very fascinating. And if this is your first time listening to the show, just know that the songs that are the singles aren't always my pick.
It's so funny. We're both deflecting here.
But that being said, I'm not going
to answer.
This album had 6 singles. Mine, Back to December, Mean, The Story of Us, Sparks Fly, and Ours. And I'm just taking a look at my list here, and I realize that not only is my pick not a single, my entire short list were not singles.
I am so thinking we picked the same song on this, and this is why I put it over to you. What you got?
So on my short list, I had Enchanted, Innocent, and Better Than Revenge. Better Than Revenge, I had to point out that had a very Avril Lavigne, Paramore kind of feel to it. But this is the biggest travesty of Taylor Swift's entire discography. How was Haunted not a single? Seriously, this song, the only way I can describe this song to me, it's a juggernaut. It has fantastic chord progression to it. The strings are fantastic. This is the kind of song I would love to see like a symphonic metal band cover, because I think there's a lot to this song, and I was surprised at how much I latched on to it.
Oh, you know what's interesting? Actually, they did that. They did a tribute to Taylor Swift, an orchestra playing by candlelight.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if maybe they gave the song the
that kind of treatment,
its due treatment. Yeah,
but no, like I'd love to see a group like Within Temptation or even an Evanescence try to pull this song off, because that's the kind of power that's in this. Like this, to me, and I might be putting my foot over the line a little bit here. This might be an early contender for my only one Taylor Swift pick. That's how good this song is. I was shocked to hear it. I was shocked at how much I loved this song. And again, this is someone who listens to Anthrax and Slipknot and Dream Theater. And I'm sitting here going, if you don't listen to Taylor Swift songs, you need to hear this one because it will surprise you. All right, so I've put my pick out there. Did I surprise you with my pick? And did we match up?
Well, yes and no, because you did mention the song in question, but I can see, I mean, that's a fantastic song that you selected. Like,
and because I listen to groups like Within Temptation and Beyond the Black and Amaranth, this is the kind of song that would probably tickle my eardrums a little bit more than some of the others.
Oh, absolutely. Hailstorm?
Oh, yeah.
Could you see it?
I mean, let's be honest. Lizzie Hale can freaking do anything.
Yes, she can. Or a duet.
Yes.
Have her come out on the stage.
Lizzie Hale and Taylor Swift doing like a rock country duet. And
not only that song, but, and I'm actually surprised with you that you didn't select or didn't. I mean, I know you're shortlisted, but Better Than Revenge.
See, I figured you would go with that because it's got that punky Avril Paramore feel to it.
Not only that, I actually made a note of, it reminds me of a Josie and the Pussycats song.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, can you picture it?
Very easily so. Very easily so. Also, when are we doing the Letters to Cleo episode? Because really, that needs to happen.
Yeah. And you know what? It was also, this is one of those examples where I'm like, whoa, like, do not F with the T-Swift. Like, you just don't mess with her because holy hell, like, strong and power. Like, you could just tell, like, yeah, don't definitely. What was it she said about the toys in the play in the sandbox? Yeah, don't take Taylor Swift's toys.
Yeah, no.
Whew, damn.
Yeah, no. That was literally like an early contender for my only one pick off of that album, and it's only because Haunted kind of fit more into my pocket than Better Than Revenge. But I mean, like, this might be one of my favorite Taylor Swift albums from the full run because of songs like that, because of songs, like Innocent and Enchanted, like, and those are the non-singles. Like, I feel like between all the singles and those, we probably pretty much listed like almost the entire album. That tells you how deep that album is. Moving on now to Red, Taylor's version. Released October 22nd, 2012 originally, Taylor's version was released November 12th, 2021. The album hit number 1 in Australia, Canada, China, Ireland, New Zealand, Scotland, South Korea, the UK, and the US. Taylor's version hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Norway, Scotland, UK, and the US. It is 7 times platinum in the US, 6 times in New Zealand, 5 times in Australia, 4 times in Canada, 3 times platinum in the UK, double platinum in Belgium and Singapore, and platinum in Austria, Denmark, Germany, Ireland, Japan, Poland, and Switzerland. Taylor's version is triple platinum in Brazil, double platinum in New Zealand, and platinum in Australia, Denmark, Poland, and the UK. There were 7 singles off of this. We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together became her first number 1 on the Billboard 200. Also at number 1 in Canada and New Zealand. So, trivia time. What was Taylor Swift's first number 1 hit on the Billboard 200? It was We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. There were 2 singles off of Taylor's version as well. I Bet You Think About Me charted the highest, hitting number 22. At the 2013 Grammys, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together was nominated for Record of the Year, but lost to Somebody That I Used to Know by Gautier featuring Kimbra. Safe and Sound featuring the Civil Wars won for Best Song Written for Visual Media for the Hunger Games soundtrack, and was also nominated for Best Country Duo or Group Performance, lost to Pontoon by Little Big Town. Then, at the 2014 Grammys, the album was nominated for Album of the Year, but lost to Random Access Memories by Daft Punk. It was nominated for Best Country Album, lost to Same Trailer Difference Park by Casey Musgraves. Begin Again was nominated for Best Country Song, lost to Merry Go Round by Casey Musgraves. And Highway Don't Care, which also featured Tim McGraw and Keith Urban, was nominated for Best Country Duo or Group Performance, lost to From This Valley by the Civil Wars. So this album actually spanned 2 Grammys. So it's a bit of a hit. It's a bit of a big album. But off of Red, what did you go with?
If I can just start by saying that to all of our listeners who have heard my take on the movies that make me cry, like, why do I want to watch something that's going to tear my heart out of my chest? Well, the song that I chose from this album does just that. I picked Ronin. And at first I thought, okay, it's really pretty. It really highlights her vocals and her incredible talent. But then as I was listening to the lyrics, and the storytelling in this story, in this song, just, I was bawling in my office just about an hour ago when I was going through and reviewing my notes on the songs and why I selected, because I wrote Ronin down, and I just thought it was a pretty song. But then to fully give it it's to honor just how beautiful and touching and heartbreaking this song is. It literally, I'm surprised I didn't, run up and hug our boys and they'd be like, "Oh, Mom, like what? Like, get off of me. What's going on?" I'm like, it is heartbreaking. And yet it's one of those things that even though I'm like, why would I watch anything that makes me cry? This song is just so lovely. I'll listen to it, I'll sob in a mess, and then I'll be over it. But oh my gosh, it's what did you pick? Because I'm assuming it's not as heartbreaking as my tale.
If you ever wonder what we go through when we put these episodes together, now you know it involves Carrie crying in her office.
Not always. In this case, it did.
See, I didn't even have that on my short list, actually. I feel so bad now. It's like, this is a really powerful song, had me in tears. I didn't pick it. I had Red and The Last Time featuring Gary Lightbody of Snow Patrol on my short list because I thought that he actually paired really well vocally with Taylor. But I ended up going with All Too Well. And this is another one of those songs that kind of fits into that. This is like what I think of as the Taylor Swift chord progression, right? This is the one that kind of seals the deal. This is the one that catches your ear because it does kind of fit into that root down a fourth, up one, down two kind of vibe to it. But there's a reason why that works really well. It's one of those chord progressions that we all click to, right? It's certain chord progressions are just total ear candy. This is one of those ones that it's kind of a good chugging chord clapper, and I like it. I think it works well. I think the lyrics and the vocals shine through. This is the kind of song you would expect at a Taylor Swift. This is that 4-chord wonder that she does so well. See, now I feel like such an ass. Like you're here like pouring your heart. I'm like, yeah, I picked one that had like that 4-chord progression,
No, like honestly, I picked the song originally because of the line, "I love you to the moon and back." And I was like, oh, that's lovely. But then as I gave it another listen, I was like, oh, it is tearing my heart, my still beating heart out of my chest. And just, it is, you know what? Like, I know that Taylor is so gifted as a poet, and I can only hope for her that this wasn't a story or to honor anybody that she knew personally.
Well, let me read you the background on this because she wrote the song after reading Maya Thompson's blog. Now, she was the mother of a 3-year-old who died in 2011 from a neuroblastoma.
Oh.
So, and she had reached out to Maya Thompson and asked permission to be able to release this song and was given permission. So
it sounded so personal.
Yeah, this blog, I guess, was written as her way of, coping through that horrible journey kind of thing that her son had to go through. And that's probably why it had you in tears. So like this is clearly, Taylor being able to channel a mom's pain and turn it into something quite beautiful. We now move on to 1989, Taylor's version. Originally released October 27th, 2014, Taylor's version was released on the exact same day 9 years later. Originally, the album hit number 1 in Australia, Belgium, Canada, Croatia, the Netherlands, Ireland, Mexico, New Zealand, Norway, Scotland, the UK, and the US. Taylor's version hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Denmark, the Netherlands, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Scotland, Spain, Sweden, UK, and the US. Like literally just spin a globe.
Just say the world.
Don't worry. That album's coming up soon. Don't worry. The album originally is 9 times platinum in the US, 11 times platinum in Australia, 10 times platinum in New Zealand, 6 times platinum in Canada and the UK, 4 times platinum in Belgium, triple platinum in Mexico, Austria, Denmark, Norway, Poland, Singapore, and platinum in France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Portugal, and Switzerland, and it's double diamond in Brazil. Taylor's version is also double platinum in Australia and New Zealand, and is diamond in Brazil, and platinum in Denmark, France, Italy, Poland, Portugal, Spain, and the UK. I told you we were going to be here for a bit, right, dear listeners? Just bear with me here. There were 7 singles from the original one. Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood all hit number 1 on the Billboard 200. And there were 2 singles from Taylor's version. Is It Over Now hit number 1 on the Billboard 200. At the 2015 Grammys, Shake It Off was nominated for Record of the Year, lost to Stay With Me by Sam Smith. Was nominated for Song of the Year, also lost to Stay With Me by Sam Smith, and nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance, lost to Happy by Pharrell Williams, and that song is now stuck in your head, and I'm sorry. At the 2016 Grammys, the album won for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album. Blank Space was nominated for Record of the Year, lost to Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars, which, okay, it's Uptown Funk, I get it. Was nominated for Song of the Year, lost to Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran, and was nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance, lost to Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. And Bad Blood featuring Kendrick Lamar won for Best Music Video and was nominated for Best Pop Duo Group or Performance, lost to Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars. I did say we were going to be here for a bit on some of these stats because Taylor Swift has done it all. So, 1989, your pick.
1989 was a fine year. This album, I have to say, with the hits and this one song that you've not mentioned yet, this was the sound that I guess I was hoping for, or this was the era of Taylor Swift that I was really leaning towards or really looking forward to. So my pick was New Romantics, which I just felt had this like really cool club vibe, like a dance hall kind of, almost like a disco kind of sound. It was just so catchy and so cool. And that, again, coming at this from, I hear these songs at the gym, and a lot of my class participants are really into Taylor Swift. I mean, who is not, really? So every time they'd be like, yeah, you got to put more Taylor Swift in your playlist because she's like everything right now. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really know many tracks. So this song just kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, this whole album has that kind of late 80s, early 90s synth pop kind of feel to it. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone knows Shake It Off. Everyone knows Blank Space. Everyone knows Bad Blood. It
almost kind of feels like this was the album where she went more from like the transition.
Yes.
From the country style.
To more that straight ahead pop style. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I had Style and I Know Places on my short list. But because I'm me, I didn't pick a single as my pick. Because I'm me, This love feels to me like that moment in a John Hughes film where John Cusack is as the lovelorn laments, if you will. Like when I say that some of her songs feel like they should be part of a soundtrack to an album, and you could make an entire soundtrack based on Taylor Swift songs for any kind of like John Hughes era type film. This is the perfect song to point to and go, see, he was right. He could do that. You could absolutely do that. How that hasn't happened, I have no idea. Because I know they did that, I think, with like Bruce Springsteen songs, where they took a bunch of songs and turned it into a movie. How Taylor Swift hasn't actually done that herself and made this happen, I don't know. But, Ryan Reynolds, and by the way, Sean Levy has to direct. I'm just calling this right. So Sean Levy needs to direct Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively in an a movie based on Taylor Swift songs.
Well, let's, send it out there into the ether and hope it manifests.
Right? We're printing money for you people here. Right?
Right.
Because Sean Levy is one of those directors that could pull the heart out of all of that.
Oh, yeah. That would be fantastic.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there into the world. And if that happens, I don't need money. I want to be on that red carpet.
Well, let's pitch it to Ryan Reynolds' production company.
There you go, right? Just make this happen. Take a bunch of Taylor Swift songs, turn it into a script, have Sean Levy direct, the two of you star together. You're welcome.
Come on, Deadpool, make it so.
Right? Yeah.
Let's go.
Right? And if you don't do it, we're going to stop calling you Deadpool and we're going to start calling you Green Lantern. All right?
Oh, harsh.
But yeah, no, this love definitely feels like that. And I constantly, flash back to this scene out of Say Anything where John Cusack is holding the ghetto blaster above his head. Right? This love feels like the song that could have played on that ghetto blaster. Reputation, released November 10th, 2017, hit number 1 in Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, the Netherlands, Ireland, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Scotland, Switzerland, the UK, and the US. It is 5 times platinum in Australia and New Zealand, triple platinum in Brazil, the UK, and the US, double platinum in Denmark and Poland, and platinum in Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Mexico, Singapore, and Sweden. There were 6 singles off of this one. Look What You Made Me Do charted the highest, hitting number 1 in the US. At the 2018 Grammys, Better Man by Little Big Town, which was written by Taylor Swift, was nominated for Best Country Song, lost to Broken Halos by Chris Stapleton. I Don't Want to Live Forever was nominated for Best Song Written for Visual Media from the 50 Shades Darker soundtrack, lost to How Far I'll Go from Moana. It's a Disney song. You're not going to be a Disney song at the Grammys. And at the 2019 Grammys, nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album, lost to Sweetener by Ariana Grande. It's funny in going through this because, she's won a few Grammys. I'm surprised there hasn't been more. I really am. Because let's be honest, she is an economy unto herself when it comes to music. I'm surprised that she has not gotten those accolades more so. Maybe that's just me.
How many more years until she can be inducted in the Music Hall of Fame?
So if I remember correctly, I think it's like 25 years after the release of your first album or something like that. So I don't know how much longer we have to wait, but we should be getting there soon enough.
About 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, don't at me. Remember, I'm an idiot in a basement with a microphone. So Carrie, off of the Reputation album, what did you go with?
I went with exactly the sound that I was hoping for and going for. I went with Ready For It.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for it?
Bow, bow, bow. Also, to all Taylor Swift fans, I'm sorry we just did that, but that was going to happen.
Sorry. I'm
so sorry we ruined your song for you.
So sorry.
Yeah, it's my pick as well. And we try not to be negative on this show because I don't want to be negative. I found this album a little hard to get through. Ready For It is a banger. It's an absolute banger. The song is undeniable. I found myself connecting more with some of the earlier albums. Reputation was an outlier for me as a whole. And again, remember that there's going to be, for every song and for every album out there in the world, something is someone's favorite. So to anyone whose favorite album is Reputation, just know that that doesn't change what that album means to you or to anybody. I just found it a little harder to get through. But yeah, when you think about it, like, this is the kind of song that would work well in an arena. It would work well in sports. It would work well in any kind of montage. Like, this is the perfect fit for anything.
I have a choreo for it.
Right?
Yeah. Taylor, so if you want to do a music video, I got a dance. I got a dance for you.
Right?
Yep.
There you go. Lover, released August 23rd, 2019. This is actually her first album for Republic after leaving Big Machine. Hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, the Netherlands, Estonia, Greece, Ireland, Latvia, Lithuania, Mexico, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Scotland, Slovakia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, UK, and US. I'm going to start to sing this eventually. It is 6 times platinum in Australia and New Zealand, triple platinum in Poland and the States, double platinum in Denmark and the UK, and platinum in Austria, Belgium, France, Italy, Norway, and Singapore. There were 5 singles off of this one. Mel and You Need to Calm Down charted the highest, both hitting number 2 on the Billboard 200. And at the 2020 Grammys, it was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album, lost to When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish. Lover was nominated for Song of the Year, lost to Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. And You Need to Calm Down was nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance, lost to Truth Hurts by Lizzo. So off of Lover, what did you go with?
I first have to share a story that this was one of the examples that Taylor Swift can take a song and change the sound of it and change the version. And I say that because my next pick, I specifically watched the DVD release or the video release of Taylor's Eras tour.
The Eras tour on Disney Plus, yes.
Right. So I was waiting for this song. I was waiting. I was watching and I was waiting. And then she gets to You Need to Calm Down. And it was different. It sounded different from the recorded version. And I was watching and I was just like, it was almost like an acoustic version of it. And I really needed the full sound from the recording. Like
right.
And that's how I hear it. And that's how I love it. And then to hear it almost pared down was, I wanted more. I felt like I wanted more. I mean, the stage production of her entire tour was incredible. I was awestruck, but then I was waiting for this song. And then when it got there, I felt I wanted more. Is that greedy? I think that's greedy.
You know what? It's not greedy, but it's interesting. And I'm glad you actually kind of brought this up because we didn't actually talk about this song, but there are certain versions of songs out there where it's like, oh yeah, it's a great song, but have you heard this version? Right? Welcome to New York, which was off of 1989, is kind of like that because, for Taylor Swift fans, you need to hear this version. Claudio Sanchez, lead singer from Coheed and Cambria, put out an acoustic version of Welcome to New York off of his most recent EP. And holy crap, it is a killer version.
To be fair, he's done the same thing with Adele's Hello.
Yes.
Holy crapola. I was just like, oh, this is how it forevermore needs to be.
Yeah. But I mean, like, even some of the harder versions, like I Prevail's version of Blank Space is fantastic, and I say that knowing that we just talked about Billie Eilish and Bad Guy, which really, let's be honest, that's an Interrupters song.
I like the Interrupters version. Yeah, I was going to say,
So sometimes a version kind of claims the song for itself. So if you do like Taylor Swift, definitely go listen to that Claudio Sanchez version. But I like when a song can have different lives. And we talked about that right off the bat on her first album, right? There's the regular version, there's the pop version. You can have different versions and both are equally legit. So lo and behold, of course, I didn't pick one of the singles. You know me, because I'm me. My short list was Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince, Lover, and Soon You'll Get Better. But this is where I was listening to her almost wistful song, Cornelia Street. This is one of those ones where it feels like, you know, the person coming home for the first time in a long time, maybe down on their luck, maybe things didn't work out in the big city, and she's walking back to her old childhood home where her parents still live and looking at the front yard where she used to play. And again, this is why I'm saying, that Sean Levy needs to direct this film. I'm just putting it out there. Cornelia Street is definitely one of those. It's like a scrapbook. It feels like a scrapbook.
Yeah, I shortlisted that one too. And I totally got that same vibe.
Yeah, like this is one of those songs where, like you can look at artists like Bruce Springsteen, who are known for writing stories as songs. And you can put Taylor Swift in that same category because these songs feel like stories and movies unto themselves in 3 and 4 minute sections. And again, this is another reason why Taylor Swift does so well, right? These aren't just meaningless nonsense lyrics, even though those are fun sometimes. This isn't just, what everyone else is doing. These are stories. These are stories with chords behind them. And you can close your eyes and you can envision it, which is why I think she lends herself very well to visual media as well as, audible media.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places. Between payroll, your tax consultant, and the IRS. If your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Support your immune system with Airborne's most complete immune support formula yet. Airborne's delicious effervescent tablets are packed with 7 powerful ingredients to fill the holes your immune system may have, so that you can enjoy those unmissable moments in your life. Learn more at airbornecomplete.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Folklore was surprise released to the world July 24th, 2020. Hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Greece, Ireland, Norway, Switzerland, the UK, Uruguay, and US. It is 4 times platinum in New Zealand, double platinum in Australia, Poland, the UK, and the US, and platinum in Austria, Denmark, France, Italy, and Norway. And there were 3 singles off of this one. Cardigan charted the highest, hitting number 1 on the Billboard 200. Now remember, this was surprise release. There was no build up to this. And I think we have to remind ourselves what life was like in July of 2020. Like, we were knee deep in the pandemic. No one was going out doing nothing. Live music wasn't happening. And we were left with more questions than answers at this point because we were still trying to wrap our head around this reality that had kind of taken over. And then Taylor Swift surprise releases, like no lead up. Boom, here's an album. Hi, Taylor Swift's here to save the day. But this album kind of felt like an album of its time when you go back and listen to it now. Like, were you getting that vibe of like remembering what it was like to just like not leave the house?
Ooh, now I have to give it another listen. For, like in its entirety, the entire album.
Yeah. By the way, I should mention before we get on, at the 2021 Grammys, it won for Album of the Year. So clearly everyone else thought so too. Beautiful Ghosts was nominated for Best Song Written for Visual Media from the movie Cats. We've talked about Cats over on It's Not That Bad during our Grading on a Curve special for movies or musicals. Nothing against her in that one, but whoo, Cats. Lost to No Time to Die by Billie Eilish from the movie No Time to Die. Cardigan was nominated for Song of the Year, lost to I Can't Breathe by her, and was nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance, lost to Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. Exile, featuring Bon Iver, was nominated for Best Pop Duo or Group Performance, lost to Rain on Me by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande, and the album was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album, lost to Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa. So, now that I got through all of that.
With all of that said, I am absolutely shocked that you didn't name my pick.
Well, that's all the stuff from the Grammys. The Grammys didn't pick your pick. What's your pick? Folklore.
What the hell is wrong with the Grammys? Because The One is definitely the one from this album.
Okay.
It was such a cool kind of like, again, the storytelling, right? Like the words put to music. It had that kind of like coffee shop vibe, or that like click beat or snap beat, that it was literally words to music. It was beautiful.
I need to go back through this episode once we're done and it's out there in the ether for everybody to listen to, and see how many lead-off tracks that you picked, because this is another one where it's a lead-off track. I mean, Ready For It was a lead-off track. You ended up going with that. There's a few there, but that just goes to show that Taylor Swift knows how to start an album. It definitely was weird listening to this album, because knowing when it came out and knowing what everyone was going through at the time and dealing with, it felt much more stripped back from an album like Reputation. Like, this is the opposite of Reputation by all means. I had Exile, My Tears, Ricochet, Cardigan, and Betty on my short list, which tells you I really like this album. But this is me trying. Consider when this album came out. Consider everyone kind of going through probably various thought processes of trying to navigate a completely unthinkable situation that was going on in the world. And This Is Me Trying feels almost like an anthem for that, in a weird, very solemn, very, and I'm going to use reverby, echoey kind of way. There's a hauntingness to this album. And, you know, if we're making a time capsule of pop culture that came out during the pandemic, yes, Staged must be in there, because that is the greatest TV show that came out during the pandemic, and no one can tell me otherwise. The Bubble probably has to go in there, because it was fun as hell. But I think this album, this and the next one, need to go in there as well, because they feel like the moment that we were in. And that's kind of something that Taylor Swift kind of gravitated, or, you know, latched onto. She wrote an album that felt like the album that needed to come out at that time. And I wonder how many people connected to it because of that. And I wonder how many people actually had these albums come out and for a while had something new to perk them up, something new to enter into their musical lexicon, something new to get them through some tough times.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not shortly after the world opened up again that concert announcements for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour started to come out?
Yeah.
And that was when people were joining the ticket lottery to try and get tickets to this coveted event.
That's the interesting thing, you know, and yes, live music is still, I think, trying to get back on its feet. Yes, there are tons of concerts that are going on out there. You know, some people are finding it hard to get tours into larger arenas because people are having problems affording tickets and the like. The Eras Tour felt like it revitalized, almost single-handedly revitalized live music because it was so unstoppable. Because, and I'm going to put this out there now since we're talking about this. The Eras Tour is the highest grossing concert tour of all time. All time. And it's not even close. It is almost doubled during the Eras Tour. It almost doubled the number 2 tour of all time, which was Coldplay's Music of the Spheres World Tour. That grossed just over $1 billion. The Eras Tour has grossed over $2 billion during its run. So when I say that it revitalized live music, it revitalized live music. It was huge and exactly the shot in the arm that the live music industry needed. And to everyone who was lucky enough to go see that show, like, kudos to you. You guys helped live music come back. I know personally, live music was one of the things that I missed the most during the pandemic. I mean, we rented some of those or bought into some of those live stream concerts from artists like the Nixons and Hollywood Undead because we wanted to support our artists. Taylor Swift brought them back into the arenas and the stadiums. And that's really cool. Evermore, also surprise release December 11th, 2020. Hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Greece, New Zealand, Portugal, the UK, and the US. It is triple platinum in Brazil, double platinum in New Zealand, and platinum in Australia, Denmark, Poland, the UK, and the US. There were 3 singles off of this one. Willow charted the highest at number 1. And at the 2022 Grammys, it was nominated for Album of the Year, lost to We Are by Jon Batiste. Yet another album that definitely feels of its time. And it's kind of hard to not, like, if you're writing from personal experience, which, you know, rumor on the street is that Taylor Swift writes a lot about personal experience. Just saying, there's songs out there. They're like little biographies. This feels much like Folklore was. This feels like it was written for the pandemic and for the people going through the pandemic. So off of this other almost cottagey campfire kind of vibe of an album, what did you go with?
Oh gosh, I hope that this song isn't associated with a real life story, but I chose No Body, No Crime. I absolutely loved the vocal jazz. It was almost kind of like, it was a completely different sound. And I really gravitate towards those songs that if there's something that's different, if there's a hook or just a different vocal styling, that's generally going to be my pick because it stands out. It's the one that it's like, you listen, and then it's like, oh, that's different. So yeah, No Body, No Crime. I thought it was just so cool. It was so, just her incredible talent and her jazz style vocals were everything in this song.
I can see that. And again, yeah, you have to remember too what the world was like in, you know, near the end of 2020 and of course middle of 2020 when she wrote this, right? Like, this was during the election. This was during a lot of the riots that were happening in the States. Like, every time you turned on the news, it felt like one more bad thing needed to be talked about. So, I mean, I can see how there's a lot of, there's a lot of that in there, right? There's a lot of pain, I think, in some of these. There's a lot of loneliness and a lot of longing. And it kind of came across in some of the songs. For me, I had Willow, Champagne Problems, and Cowboy Like Me on my short list. But again, I like to go with the songs that have a very cinematic feel to them. And this one definitely has campfire feels to it as well. So that adds to it. 'Tis the Damn Season. See, she used one of those bad words in there. Not really that bad, but she's used worse, but that's okay. This is another one of those movie in a song kind of feel. And again, think about this time. Think about how many people were maybe escaping to a cottage because they could be alone up there, and at least it's not in their house if they have a cottage. I know one of the nicest things that we bought during the pandemic was our little backyard fire table that has the attached to the propane tanks. We would have like little fire table nights in the backyard.
Our backyard oasis.
Right? Because at least we'd go outside there.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of album that you could picture yourself listening to out in that little backyard oasis. And 'Tis the Damn Season definitely fit into that vibe. 2 more albums to go through. The first of them being Midnights, released October 21st, 2022. Hit number 1, seemingly everywhere. See, I told you that was coming.
Easy to just say everywhere.
Right? There are literally just take your globe, spin it, stop it with your finger. And you probably stopped it in the middle of the ocean. So spin it again and then do it again. And whatever country you landed on, I'm sure it went number 1 there. 5 times platinum in New Zealand, triple platinum in Australia and the UK, double platinum in Canada, Denmark, Poland, Spain, and the US, and platinum in Austria, France, Germany, Italy, and Mexico. 3 singles off of this one. Anti-Hero charted the highest, hitting number 1 on the Billboard 200. At the 2023 Grammys, All Too Well, the short film, won for Best Music Video. All Too Well, the 10-minute version of the short film, nominated for Song of the Year, lost to Just Like That by Bonnie Raitt. I Bet You Think About Me was nominated for Best Country Song, lost to Till You Can't by Cody Johnson. Carolina was nominated for Best Song Written for Visual Media from the movie Where the Crawdads Sing, lost to We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto. And at the 2024 Grammys, it won for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album. Anti-Hero was nominated for Song of the Year, lost to What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. Nominated for Record of the Year, lost to Flowers by Miley Cyrus, and nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance, also lost to Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Karma, featuring Ice Spice, was nominated for Best Pop Duo Group Performance, lost to Ghost in the Machine by SZA featuring Phoebe Bridgers. And Jack Antonoff won for Producer of the Year non-classical for this, Did You Know There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard by Lana Del Rey, and Being Funny in a Foreign Language by the 1975. There's a long Grammys list there for one album. So off of Midnights, your pick.
Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. No, it's one of the most quotable lines from any song, although I did not pick Anti-Hero. My choice was Lavender Haze.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh my God. Like, did it not just have kind of a Pink vibe?
Mm-hmm.
Like that call and answer, the staccato vocals. This song just like, it struck me, and I kept going back to it because I listened through and then I would go back to it and then I would listen through, and I found myself wanting to pick Anti-Hero, but I'm like, that is just such an obvious choice, right? It's already got its accolades. It was the recognizable song.
Yeah, and that's on my short list as well. So I mean, it's good. It's there for a reason. But yes, I get it. And Lavender Haze was her second single off of this one. But guess what? I didn't pick a single. I went with a song that felt, again, like a movie unto itself. And if we're leaving Cornelia Street, ready to branch out on our own again, ready to start life anew, after regrouping back at the family home. And again, Sean Levy, I'm writing the script for you here. You're listening, right? You're on your own, kid. Feels like that moment when, after regrouping at Cornelia Street, our hero then ventures out into the world, faith and strength renewed, ready to start fresh. That's how it feels. Like, this is that turning moment where she's, your hero is about to go back to the big city, new perspective on life, maybe a new love back home, rediscovering who they were. I'm printing you money here, people. Even though it sounds like I'm making a Hallmark movie as well, but still. You're on your own, kid, off of Midnights. We now get to the last album thus far in the career of one Miss Taylor Swift, The Tortured Poets Department. Released April 19th, 2024, hit number 1 seemingly everywhere. See, I can learn from my mistakes. 6 times platinum in the US, triple platinum in New Zealand, double platinum in Australia and Denmark, the UK, and platinum in Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Portugal, and Spain. There were 2 singles off of this one. Fortnite hit number 1 on the Billboard 200s. At the 2025 Grammys, which we have not gotten to yet, so we don't know if she's going to win. But the album is nominated for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album. Fortnite, featuring Post Malone, is nominated for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Music Video. And Us, featuring Gracie Abrams, is nominated for Best Pop Duo or Group Performance. So we don't know. She's going to win. Be curious to come back to this if she releases another album before we drop episode number 100 and we do another bonus episode of There Can Only Be One. But we're talking the Tortured Poets Department. We're talking about the most recent album. For your last pick, what did you go with?
I went with a really poetic and pretty song. I chose The Bolter.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It is, yeah.
That is a very good one.
It was the one that stood out the most to me.
I get that. I do. Because, again, this is one of those albums that, there's a lot more strength in this album. Like, I found that there was a lot of strength in Ready For It off of Reputation. I found there was a lot of strength in, the Speak Now album. And, of course, there was a lot of lamenting and a lot of self-introspection during the Folklore and the Evermore era. So off of this one, I went with a song that had that strength. I had on my short list Down Bad, But Daddy I Love Him, Guilty as Sin, and the Tortured Poets Department. But Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? I love this song. There's a confidence in this song. There's like literally, again, getting back to that movie. This is of course played before You're on Your Own, Kid. This is that moment where our hero, and maybe this is the one where the hero finally gets back to the city to reclaim what it is that the hero had lost along the way. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? There is, you can almost picture her wearing a Superman cape singing this song, or a Supergirl cape. Either way. But there's where I think this is. How many people listen to Taylor Swift songs and find something in it that gives them strength, that gives them something to latch on to? And prior to this episode, prior to this recording, I will admit, songs like Bad Blood and Shake It Off, Ready For It. I knew them. You hear them on the radio. You can't avoid them. But I had never really thought of going down that road of listening to a full album. And I think now, going into this with open ears and open mind and open heart, I can see why Swifties latch onto these songs. I can see why Taylor Swift means so much to them, because there is something for everybody. For every Swiftie there, I'm sure there is a favorite song, which is why during the Eras tour, people were like, oh, she played this song. Oh, she played this song. Because she's got that section of her where she would do like, deeper cuts from the vault, and, it would change every now and then. So I get it. I actually get it. From a guy who listens to Slipknot, I get it. I understand. But now comes the hard part of all. And I'm sure right now, if there was, Taylor Swift fans listening to this, I'm going to put this out there to you as well. Carrie, I'm asking the question to you, but really I'm asking the question to the world.
Okay.
If, from the songs that you picked off of her albums, if there can only be one Taylor Swift song, what's it going to be? And before you drop your pick, Swifties, please find us on social media at OnlyOneCast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. Drop us a line and let us know what your only one Taylor Swift song is and why. I really want to hear these stories. I want to hear what it is about these songs that means so much to you that means that would be the only Taylor Swift song. It can be from personal experience. It could be from a lyric. It could be from whatever in the song stands out to you. What is your only one Taylor Swift song? I've given you a little bit of time here, a little bit of breathe room.
I am grateful for that because with this discography and the vast selection of arguably and quite honestly, the many eras of Taylor Swift, that
Right.
is a it's a huge, a gigantic task.
Like, here's
to
the
pick
thing.
only one.
I know this isn't the biggest episode as far as discography goes that I've done because, between like Bruce Springsteen and Kiss and Tom Petty, like those were some long episodes. This might be the longest episode that you've done on this show.
But it's not that there's many or so many albums. When you gave me my list, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
They're
I've
12,
I've seen more.
But those are long albums in some cases.
Exactly. In some cases, I'm like, do you realize I just listened to 2 hours of Taylor Swift and I picked one song?
Yep.
And I have 6 more albums to go.
Well, remind our listeners what you did go with.
Ooh.
And then if there can only be one,
You want me to...
what's it going to be?
You want me to circle back to...
Give us the rundown.
Whew, from the beginning. I selected the pop version of Teardrops on My Guitar from Taylor Swift's self-titled album from 2006. From the holiday collection, without a doubt, I went with Silent Night. From Fearless, I went with the title track of Fearless. And from Speak Now, I selected Better Than Revenge. From Red, I went with Ronin. From 1989, I chose New Romantics. From Reputation, I picked Ready For It. From Lover, You Need to Calm Down. Folklore is the one. From Evermore, I picked No Body, No Crime. From Midnights, I chose Lavender Haze. And from the Tortured Poets Department, I picked The Bolter. And my only one, without a doubt, still remains one of the songs that I had before I even ventured into this assignment. I'm going with Ready For It. It has been and always will be my absolute go-to. It is my absolute favorite Taylor Swift song. I mean, of all of the incredible songs out there, it's just the one that I think suits me the best for my personality. It is just larger than life. And it's this explosion of sound and energy, and I love it.
Yeah. In a word, that song is undeniable. From her debut album, I went with I'm Only Me When I'm With You. From the holiday collection, I went with Silent Night. From Fearless, I went with Breathe. From Speak Now, I went with Haunted. From Red, I went with All Too Well. From 1989, I went with This Love. Off of Reputation, I went with Ready For It. Off of Lover, I went with Cornelia Street. From Folklore, I went with This Is Me Trying. Off of Evermore, I went with 'Tis the Damn Season. From Midnights, I went with You're on Your Own, Kid. And from the Tortured Poets Department, I went with Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. And I want to say, before I drop my pick, I was absolutely right in that we were going to match up on Reputation. I knew that song. I knew that was going to be your pick. I didn't know if it was going to be your only one, but I had a feeling. And I love that you also picked Silent Night. And to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. And you probably already know, because I couldn't stop gushing about it when we were talking about it. But for me, it's Haunted. This is, to me, and again, this is personal opinion. This is the best Taylor Swift song of all time. Nothing has topped it yet. But I'm sure her career is miles and miles to go before she's done. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And dear listeners, remember, hit us up on social media at onlyoncast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. We do want to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your Only One picks are. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on her discography and some of the songs that we did pick. There are no right or wrong answers. All music is good music. And while you're at our website, make sure you check out our other show, It's Not That Bad, so you can listen to us pontificate and try to find good things to say about bad movies. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay, you guys are awesome. This is There Can Only Be One, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care, y'all.